Have you ever put your keys down on the table, walked away, and when you came back, they were gone? You search everywhere. You ask your partner, and they say, "You never put them on the table. You're always losing things. You probably left them in the car." You check the car. Nothing. You come back inside, frustrated, maybe a little panicked, and there they are, sitting right on the table where you swore you put them. Your partner laughs and says, "See, you're losing your mind. You need to pay better attention." In that moment, a tiny seed is planted, a seed of doubt. You don't question them, you question yourself. You think, maybe I am stressed, maybe I am forgetful. But what if I told you that you aren't forgetful? What if I told you that the confusion you feel isn't a result of your own failing memory, but a carefully constructed weapon designed to dismantle your reality piece by piece? This is not just lying. This is not just a bad relationship dynamic. This is psychological warfare. This is gaslighting. And the most terrifying part, it is almost invisible until it's too late. Today, we are going to expose the hidden tactics that manipulators use to shatter your sanity. We're going to look at the mechanics of how a rational, intelligent person can be reduced to a shell of themselves, unable to make a decision without permission. If you have ever felt like you're walking on eggshells, or if you constantly feel the need to record conversations just to prove you aren't crazy, you need to listen to every word of this video. Gaslighting is a slow-motion erasure of who you are. It doesn't happen overnight. If someone walked up to you on the first date and said, "Your memories are fake and you're crazy," you would leave immediately. The manipulator knows this, so they don't start with a sledgehammer, they start with a scalpel. They begin with what psychologists call the stage of disbelief. It starts with small, trivial things, a conversation about dinner plans. You remember agreeing on Italian food. They insist you agreed on sushi. It seems so minor that you let it go. You prioritize the relationship over being right. But this is a test. They are testing your boundaries. They are seeing how much of your own reality you're willing to sacrifice to keep the peace. Once they see that you'll fold on the small things, they begin to escalate. This brings us to one of the most insidious tactics, the compassionate dismissal. This is where the gaslighter doesn't act angry, they act concerned. They might say things like, "I'm really worried about you lately. You've been forgetting so much. Are you sure you're okay?" Do you see the brilliance of this trap? If they were yelling, you could fight back. But because they're pretending to be worried about your health, if you get defensive, you look unstable. You look ungrateful. They frame your valid reaction to their manipulation as a symptom of your instability. They weaponize empathy against you. They are poisoning the water, then offering you a filter, making you dependent on them for clarity. But it gets darker. Once they have established that your memory is faulty, they move to the next phase, the rewriting of history. This is often where the tactic known as Darvo comes into play. It stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Let's say you catch them in a lie. Maybe you found a text message you weren't supposed to see. You confront them. A normal person would apologize. A gaslighter? They deny the evidence. That's not what it looks like. Then they attack. "I can't believe you violated my privacy. You're so insecure and jealous. It's impossible to be with someone who doesn't trust me." And finally, the reversal. Suddenly, you're the one apologizing. You're apologizing for checking their phone, and the original issue, the text message, has completely vanished from the conversation. You walk away feeling guilty, and they walk away with more power. They have successfully trained you that confronting them results in your own pain. So you stop confronting them. You stop asking questions. You accept their version of reality because it is safer than fighting for your own. Now, you might be asking, why do people stay? This is the question everyone asks from the outside. The answer lies in a psychological concept called intermittent reinforcement. If the gaslighter was cruel 100% of the time, you would leave, but they're not. In fact, they can be the most charming, loving, attentive person you've ever met, Sometimes they give you a glimmer of hope. They give you a perfect weekend, a beautiful compliment, a moment of deep connection. This creates a chemical addiction in your brain. You're starving for that validation, so when they give you a crumb, you feast on it. You convince yourself that the nice version of them is the real them, and the mean version is just a mistake, or stress, or, and here's the kicker, your fault. They condition you to believe that if you could just be better, less sensitive, less forgetful, then the nice version of them would stay. You become a detective in your own life, constantly trying to solve the crime of your partner's mood swings, not realizing that the game is rigged. You can never win because the rules change every single day. Let's look at another invisible tactic: triangulation and isolation. A gaslighter knows that if you talk to your friends or family, someone might snap you out of it. Someone might say, "Hey, that's not normal." So they have to cut you off. But they don't just forbid you from seeing people. That's too obvious. Instead, they use the us against the world narrative. They might say, "Your friends just don't understand our love. They're jealous." Or, "I don't like how your mother talks to you. She creates drama." Slowly, they drive a wedge between you and your support system. Even worse, they might lie to you about what others say. Even your sister thinks you've been acting manic lately. This is a devastating blow. It confirms your worst fear, that you really are the problem. You feel completely alone. The only person you can trust is the very person destroying you. You're trapped in a hall of mirrors, and they're holding the only light. But here's the truth that they are terrified you will realize. The reason they spend so much energy trying to control your reality is that they have none of their own. Gaslighting is a projection of their own deep-seated insecurity and need for control. They are terrified of being seen, so they blind you. You need to understand that the confusion you feel is not a sign that you were broken. It is a sign that you are being manipulated. Your gut instinct, that quiet voice screaming that something is wrong, is still there. It has been buried under layers of lies, but it is not dead. The moment you realize you are being gaslit, the spell begins to break. You stop trying to convince them of the truth because you realize they already know the truth, they just don't care. You stop arguing with a person who is committed to misunderstanding you. You start to document things. You write down conversations. You keep screenshots, not to show them, but to remind yourself. Regaining your reality is a painful process. It involves mourning the relationship you thought you had. It involves accepting that the person you love is a mirage, but the alternative is losing yourself completely. If you recognized yourself in these descriptions, do not panic. Recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking it. You are not crazy, you are not too sensitive, you are not imagining things, you are simply in the crosshairs of a psychological predator. And now that you see the weapon, they can no longer use it against you with the same power. Trust your perception, trust your memory, and most importantly, trust that voice inside you that says you deserve to be heard, not handled. There's a massive difference between a difficult relationship and a destructive one. Don't let anyone rewrite your life story. If this video struck a chord with you, or if you have survived this kind of manipulation, share your story in the comments. Your experience could be the lifeline that pulls someone else out of the fog. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We are building a community here that sees the truth, and we want you to be a part of it. Stay sharp and take care of your mind.